Chiara, how are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon. I am very well. And how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. This is a beautiful weather here actually in St. Louis, Missouri. We are about 75-degree Fahrenheit, and so it's going to be all throughout the week. So it's a fantastic week shaping up. So I'm enjoying this weather at the same time enjoying talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you. It has cooled down some, and I'm very excited to be here today with you.
Yes. Well, as you can tell that we are getting close to finishing the year. We are in our September, so it's third quarter about to start, and we fourth quarter about to start, and we are nearing to the last few months of this year. So that's surprising that October is very close. October, November, December, the last 3 months, right? So today's topic we have is self-love. Self-love is our seventh module for We Know and Vision, and it's in the relational domain, which is self-love, love, and happiness. Those are the three modules we have in in the relational domain, and self-love is the first one. After that is love. So self-love is love, self for self, and then the second eighth module is love, which is relationship with others. So relationship with self, relationship with others, and if you perfect on both of those, then you have that ultimate happiness. That we are the ninth and final module for We Know and Vision is happiness. So self-love. Chiara, what do you think? What does self-love mean to you?
Well, as you know, there are layers to this in my view. So I think looking at love, often that word is misused in society. We love something, but I think a deep understanding of who we are, first of all, what our values are, what parts of ourselves that we can see, but also looking at parts of ourselves that are in our shadow. It really is about love and self-love. So it's for me, it's the deep dive into what we're here to do, what our purpose is. In the past, perhaps what has held us back, and to understand that love has many facets. There's many different types of love. Even within self-love, often we'll give ourselves away. We will not look at our shadow and not begin to understand what's working for us and what's not working for us. And some of the previous modules and meetings that we've had really feed into this. It nourishes self-love. And I do feel that connection and self-nourishment, understanding our values and where we're going, is a part and parcel of self-love. It's not just a feeling, it's the alignment of where we're going with our minds and our hearts.
Perfectly said, Chiara. And you mentioned about the alignment. Alignment is what is very important in self-love. Now, some people, the way it's interpreted in many people is self-love, they consider it self-care, which is completely different than self-love. Self-care is completely different than self-love. And also remember, there is also that word selfish. Right? So so that kind of all bring into one perspective of what is self-love, what does it mean, and how it is different from selfishness and from self-care. Because many coaches and many other general public, the view of self-love is taking care of themselves, and that's totally opposite of what self-love is all about. Self-love is relationship with yourself.
Yes.
It's not taking care of yourself. It's not indulging on things like I see people, with a picture of wine, they're, expressing their self-care to self-love level. But yeah, self-care is taking care of yourself. But self-love is your relationship with your inner self. And if that is true, then the definition of self-love that you mentioned makes perfect sense, is understanding who you are and why you are here and what is your responsibility to this world, because you are not alone. And that's
Yes.
why the important part about it, the next module after self-love is love, which is relationship with others. So what is your purpose? What is your goal? What is your destiny and who you are? And all those things that make up you is what we are interested about in self-love. And are you in love with yourself? And if you're in love with yourself, how that love works for you
You
means,
know, oh, sorry, please
yeah,
continue.
so taking to a next level of your relationship, which is you versus you. And it don't have to be the versus, it have to be you and you. So how that works, and that's what the most fascinating thing. And I think you can, because it's one of your most important topics. So let's hear about it.
Well, I was itching to share with you when you were talking. What came to me is the true understanding of empathy and compassion. So self-love also is connection with others, because we learn through others about ourselves. We learn through others' experiences by empathizing with them, getting a different point of view and interpretation, and at the same time, relating compassionately. So the connection is, when we come from a place of self-love, is going to be compassionate towards another and ourselves. So you can see how they're really interrelated. So I really think that is an important piece to bring in here, because without that, we can't go inward. We can't see things perhaps that other people see. And we can't understand whether or not their interpretation, because also when we're looking at ourselves and when we're receiving information and connection, often there might be a misinterpretation of the deeper meaning and nuance of where we're at. So you were talking about self-care not being the deeper nuance or component of self-love. And yes, it's misconstrued because that's looking outward. It's the materialist perspective of, well, if I go and do something to take care of myself, then I must love myself. But if we're continuing to have negative self-talk or anything like this, when we're not able to go deep down, because often people are afraid about what they might find down there. Because if they did, then there might be a tower moment. They might actually not have the beliefs or the values they thought they had, or they're not that person. But actually looking at these things and disentangling them so that we can understand better, it really does support our growth and development towards self-love, and also love of other, not only internally for ourselves, but we're a collective, which I think is really important.
Yes, and surprisingly enough, in our Vino and Vision, as you know, we are activity-based coaching company. The activity we relate to self-love is called Heart of Love. Heart of Love. And the module 8 is love, and the activity we relate to that module is called Heart to Heart. So these are all painting activity, of course. So Heart of Love is that center we are talking about, right? And previously you and I talked about the heart-based relationship or heart-based coaching, right? Heart-centered coaching. So when we discuss about those, that the center of everything, actually, if we look at this, the whole universe, the center of the universe is us, I, right? It reflects from the within to the all universe. So it's fascinating that each of us own us, means we own ourselves. So just imagine that, so whatever age you are, whatever age I am now, but all throughout our life, we've been stuck in this body. Our heart been inside this body. Our mind is inside this body. And we've been every morning waking up and looking at the mirror, you see reflection of you. So you and the relationship with yourself goes much deeper than anything else in the world. You know yourself from left to right. You know yourself from the beginning to the end. And you are with yourself every single day. But one thing we don't realize, that this person that we call me, myself, and the relationship of having that, my relationship with myself, is a very, I would say, difficult relationship. It's one of the most complex and most fascinating relationship, because finding the true self and relating to that self and enhancing to that self to the level that is the inner light that shows and light up the whole world and the universe. How do we do that? It's a fascinating world of self-discovery that we have to dive in. And it's remind me that movie called Journey to the Center of the Earth. Right? And is the same way. You have to take the journey to understand yourself. And to do that, you need to start knowing yourself, that you are different than yourself, that you think you know yourself, actually you don't. And that's why coaching is very important in self love aspect, because you need to know yourself fully. And when you know who you are and what is your authentic self, that's where the journey begins. And one of the key thing I'll point it out here is in our Vino and Vision art and coaching segment, we exercise one thing called my true self. And I want to share that with you. And this is a pictorial version of that. And it is important that people see that you have to do that exercise yourself. This is my true self. My true self is an exercise you do with post-it note and the art you have done to find I am the answer to that simple two-word sentence. I am, and then fill in the blank, and you have all these things that you can compile. So Chiara, what I am saying here, that to discover yourself, you need to go deeper in understanding. You cannot love something that you don't know. So in a relationship, you have to establish that relationship very deeper level. What do you think about that?
Thank you for that. That's beautiful. What came to me and what stood out to me when you were speaking is really looking at yourself in the mirror, because people often look at themselves in the mirror, but there are certain things that there might be in shadow or things that they don't like about themselves. And so there'll be a bit of shame and they'll dismiss that and avoid that. But all of these aspects really are to be brought into enlightenment, so to say, bringing it out so that it can be looked at, so it can be digested and understood, and to find meaning. And there is something I also wanted to add to that, that the meaning will change as we evolve. So when we're 5 years old, for example, we don't have the cognitive ability to be able to do that. And as we grow and we have experiences, we'll have different perspectives as we move along in life and as we mature, the meaning will change and the depth it will come with that. And so I believe that the exercise that you shared, I think that it's not a one-time exercise. And
Yes.
the exercise I share with my clients is the mirror exercise. Look in the mirror and really see yourself and don't think, don't judge, because judgment of self and other really reduces who you are to one perspective, to one opinion. And anyone can have an opinion, but it might be based on something that you don't like about yourself that you see in the mirror or that you see in front of you, because in relationship, we mirror each other a great deal. So I really wanted to take that point that you made, a very important point about the mirror, and to bring it to light so that when things do come up, when you find that you're judging yourself for another, that's the time to really go internal and say, well, what's my part in this? Or where is this coming from? So that we can really disentangle and understand with compassion what might be transpiring. And if we can't do it in the moment, we come back to it, or we seek help from a coach like your program and myself, so that we can see a different perspective and then come back to center. Because often if we get triggered, we're not in our center. And that, what I'm talking about, is the alignment, because the mind is very powerful, but often it's misused. So when we're in our head, we're not sharing the compassion piece, because that comes from the heart. And when there's no alignment, we can create any narrative and story and make it fit something. But then the question is it real? And this is the connection to the universe and to that universal collective sacredness of who we are. Grounding it in that really will bring a different perspective and will bring a deeper understanding in that moment. So I really wanted to share that. That was something that stood out for me.
Yes, yes, alignment is so important. And it brings to that point also. When you go to a chiropractor, they have to align you every now and then for your
You go for the
muscles
adjustment.
adjustment, right? And similarly, in a coaching fashion is that same, but at the core of it is understanding your true self and aligning with that true self. And if you're authentic to that true self, you can be always in that zone, in the true authentic self, no matter what imposed from outside or whatever environment you are. If your true authentic self and you are passionate about that self, you can see light through darkness. Even in difficult moment, that you have no difficulties. You don't have no fear.
Yes, and that's absolutely what I was thinking. We're aligned today. Well, we always are. There's synchronicity here, because the thing that came to my mind is often people don't feel safe. They don't feel safe to be vulnerable, whether it's with themselves or another, for whatever reason. And I think self-love really is the acceptance and almost the idea of surrender to the moment and presencing, so that we're safe enough to be vulnerable. And I think with a coach who has experienced in their lives and has transformed and is continuing to transform, because we're all human, we're always learning, there is that support and that reciprocal safety. And in safety, it's safe to be vulnerable. It's secure to look at the shadow or what feels shameful to me. So we were right on the same page. It's wonderful.
I like the way you are mentioning as well, that shadow, right? So
yes,
stand in front of the sun and you will see the shadow behind you, right? So
you can't run away from it. It follows you
you
everywhere.
cannot run away from it. It will chase you. If you
Yes,
run, it will chase you, right? So
it does.
the beauty of this is that you have to stand in front of sun so you can have a shadow, right? So the symbolic statement I can make there, the symbolic nature of this is you are standing in front of sun, the brightness is on your face and your body, and you look back and there is the shadow behind you, right? Or whichever way you put the light, shadow can be in front of you, but this is the shadow that you, no matter what you do, you cannot get rid of unless
It
you
takes
turn off the light.
strength.
Unless you
Yes,
turn off the light.
absolutely.
So as long as the light is on, the shadow is with you. And that's the key of, if we just take that symbolic statement there, that the shadow is with you no matter what, and your relationship with your shadow is what makes you safe, because your shadow is in the darkness and you feel dark. You feel, now who is taking control of you? Is it your shadow, or
Right.
is it the light you are facing? So that's just to put the symbolic nature of that, is that, once you understand safety
Mm.
and you become fearless, no matter what happens, it's a positiveness of yourself. No matter what happens, you have that positive vibe that something gonna make it better.
It takes strength, doesn't it?
It
It
takes
takes courage.
significant strength. Yes.
And really, it takes a lot of strength to
Yes.
hold ourselves accountable,
Yes.
because I find often we project out or we hold someone else accountable very quickly through judgment. And that's often a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes.
But if we take a step back and we take the strength and courage to look at ourselves, there is the vulnerability. And we look at the shadow and say, I'm not afraid of you. I know you're a part of me, but you're not the whole of me. So that's self-love with compassion. Then we're able to sit down in safety and
Yes.
look at it bit by bit. We do, often people want to jump right in and do everything at once, but everything is an evolution. It's walking the journey of our purpose, walking the journey of who we are, in resonance and in truth with the heart. And so, yeah.
I have nothing more to add. I think I think that's fantastic. The way you put it together is that connecting with your authentic self, and fear goes away with the
Yes.
positiveness. That's why, in the Vino and Vision, we have this three-dimensional coaching program: strategic dimension, self dimension, and relational dimension. And in the self dimension, we have a module called positivity, is identifying your positive self and sticking to it. It means no
Yes.
matter what happens, you are positive.
Mm.
Even in the darkest moment of your life, you are positive, because you know that light is gonna shine through. It's gonna come.
Right. Well, the
And
dark.
that's,
Mhm.
yeah, and that gives you the confidence of self-love,
It
is
does.
that the brighter days are ahead of you, not behind you.
Well, remember, the dark night of the soul really is a transformational experience.
Yes.
From my perspective, at least, that's my experience so far. Is the dark night of the soul is the transformation. It's almost like the caterpillar in the chrysalis has to liquefy and alchemize themselves
Mhm.
over time to be able to transform into the beautiful butterfly. Without that alchemical change, which is, it's drastic, it's huge. You're coming from a caterpillar, liquefying yourself in chrysalis and coming out in a form that is divinely guided. That, it's just, it's mind-blowing, actually. So that dark night of the soul, as much as it is difficult, embracing it with courage and having the support like ourselves through it really does bring us closer to our own truth and aligns us with self-love.
Yes, aligns us with self-love and closer to the truth that we need to get to at the center of our heart. And that's the heart-centered approach that we are talking about.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating when you say that, because This creates a responsibility
Oh,
that
yes, it
we
does.
have, yes, for each other. We have for ourselves, right? So as you know, the world is getting out of COVID and going through a lot of different mental issues and all of those. But if you go to the center of that mental issues, you know that's the lack of self-love
Yes.
is the cause of mental issues.
And fear, I believe, fear of what might be that we don't know. We are, I've found that we always go towards the known because the unknown is so scary. There's the shadow again.
Mhm.
But we can't know everything, but we can have presence in the moment and understand what there is to learn. And so that learning, that again, that chrysalis from the caterpillar to the butterfly, it is a learning because that caterpillar never did it before. And so it is with us, in this space where we're in, we might not have done it before, but there is the courage and the alignment towards the nourishment of coming into our authentic self, or authenticity, as you say, towards understanding and loving the self.
Yes. Well, as you know, that we live in a world of homeostasis.
We do.
Homeostasis is what keeps us normal, keeps us balanced, keeps us fixed, right? Your temperature go up, you take a pill, and temperature come down to homeostasis, right?
Yes.
So the normalness and while normalness is the beauty of everything, because it keeps everything safe, sound, and normal.
Right.
That is the enemy
Yeah.
of progress.
It
That is the enemy.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely, you're right, because then we get stagnant and we get stuck,
Mhm.
and we keep repeating the same cycles, the same things, because often I find that life propels you in a certain direction and we resist. And it's natural. Human beings want to keep in their safe zone with what they know. But it's when we take that first small step out that it allows us to breathe differently, to walk differently, to inspire towards loving of the self with compassion.
Yes. And the self-love is just that, to step out.
Mhm.
Step out of your comfort zone, step out of your safety net, and experience the challenging world, and experience the, take that extra step that is you haven't taken before, right?
Right.
And when you
And
venture into that,
yeah,
darkness become lights, and you start seeing things that you have not seen before. It's
and
same
so
statement like
yes,
world, at one point everybody said world was flat, and you keep on walking, you'll fall off. But then we figure it out that no, world is not flat, world is round. You keep on walking, you'll come back to where you started, right?
and that's remarkable.
That's remarkable.
It
Yes.
is remarkable, really. And we've talked about perception before and perspective. And I feel like often, we're bound, we bind ourselves with our judgments and what we think we know. And all amount of reducing a situation that we find ourselves in, or even looking at the self, to certain requirements and expectations, because our mind is trying to fragment, compartmentalize, so that we're able to deal with something. But being a butterfly, it doesn't know, it just is, and it's being. And so it's, yes, that's wonderful. That's what came to my mind.
Yes, and that's, I want to leave everybody with a challenge. And the challenge is to make, keep start a journal or something, and answer this question, answer this, or complete this statement. I love myself because.
Beautiful.
Exactly. And you can write as many pages as you want, You can write a whole life story, but complete this sentence. I love myself because, and you'll get to it, because you will find the answer what is you looking for. And then when you find that because, relate to it.
Do you know what I love about that? Is I feel like when people start to journal that, they're going to start perhaps with the most basic layer, the top layer. And then the more that they do it, they're going to start to get deeper and deeper into that. That within itself will begin to open the box, so to speak, that they have put themselves and bound themselves in. And if they're able to catch this and see it, they will see their progression, because people are always wanting to hold on to, well, I don't think I'm getting any progress, but it's in the detail. It's in the small moments that you see your transformation. And so I think that's beautiful.
And you just mentioned about that treasure box.
Yes.
The treasure box is within us if we can find it. And if we can find it,
yes,
we can open it and we can see all the jewels and all the gold and diamond and all the treasure we've been looking for is right there inside that box. All we have to do is open that treasure box, and first we have to find it and then open it. And as we open it, we can nurture it and grow from there.
Right, I agree. And sometimes in the treasure box, we might find some rocks that we don't recognize. There's the shadow. And the key is to polish them and work with them and not be afraid of them, so that we can find the gem inside, the ruby, the diamond, the emerald, so that we can continue to create this chest of treasures that we can give to ourselves. And in doing so, share with the collectiveness of who we are.
Fantastic session. And it gives me goosebumps almost.
Me too.
Thinking about it is that we are connecting to our authentic self.
We so are.
For the service of others and the service to ourselves. We owe that to ourselves.
Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to serve each other, really, at the end of the day. So, and ourselves, because we are part of each other.
We are part of this universe, and we are we.
Yes.
So fantastic, Chiara. It's very nice to see you. And as you know, that everything come to a circle. Next month, yes. Next month, our 8th module, which is love. And remember, in February, we also do love, because it's a month of love. So we do twice. Love is touched twice. And so we are making that circle to come back to love. And before love, after love, we'll move into, in November, we'll be moving into happiness. And that's the beauty of this, is as we master self-love and we master love, there is nothing left but to be happy, because we have achieved both relationship with self and relationship with others to the max level. And once that happens, happiness cannot be prevented. Happiness rolls in automatically, just like wind blowing every day. So thank you very much for taking this journey with me and understanding a little bit deeper level for both of us, clarifying for our audience what self-love means and why it is different from self-care or indulgence, and actually connecting to true self. Chiara, I really appreciate your presence here and the service you are doing to the global community. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I will see you next time.
I really appreciate it. All right, we will. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, and see you then. See you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.